Scorpio, this may be the most important message you've received all month. What if the money you've been praying for, the breakthrough your spirit has quietly whispered for, is already falling into place? Not as noise, but as sacred timing. And not just as coincidence but as confirmation. From October 24th to 26th, the energy surrounding you is unlike anything you've felt before. A divine portal is opening. And within it are 6 sacred numbers, not just for chance, not just for luck, but designed specifically to align your financial life with your soul's calling. These numbers are encoded with frequency. They carry the essence of what you've longed for: provision, peace, purpose. Welcome to Miracle of the Sign, where astrology meets deep spiritual alignment, where numerology holds hands with healing, and where faith is not an idea, it's a way of life. This isn't just another horoscope video. This is an invitation to come back to center. To remember who you are beneath the distractions. To feel God's whisper again in the details of your day. You see, Scorpio, the universe doesn't scream. It speaks softly through signs, synchronicities, subtle impressions. And maybe, just maybe, this video found its way to you because your spirit has been quietly asking for clarity. Maybe you've noticed a number that keeps returning. Maybe you've been dreaming differently. Maybe your body feels more tired than usual, even though you're doing everything right. Those aren't glitches in your day. Those are signals. And this right knows the decoding. Scorpio, you have not been forgotten. Your prayers were not ignored. You were never walking alone, even when no one noticed the strength it took to keep going. The 6 numbers we're going to explore today aren't meant to dazzle you. They're meant to ground you. Each one opens a new layer of wisdom connected to your money, your body, your emotional healing, and your soul's direction. But before we begin, let me pause here. Let me thank you truly for being here. For your presence. For each like, each comment, each share, each subscription that helps expand this sacred circle. Your energy fuels this mission. It brings life to this channel. It helps these messages reach others who are still searching in silence. And Scorpio, believe me when I say this, you will want to stay until the very last second of this message, because what the universe is about to reveal is more profound than you expect. So take a breath. Settle into the stillness. Let this video be your mirror, your map, your invitation. If a number has been following you lately, comment it below. Let it be your way of saying, I see the signs now. And if something within you is stirring already, just right, I am ready to receive what heaven has prepared for me. Let's begin this journey together. Because the timing isn't random. It's divine. And it's yours. Scorpio, the presence of number 3 in your field right now is not accidental. It is a quiet whisper from the universe that your creativity, your softness, and your inner voice are ready to return. After all the weight you've carried emotionally, physically, spiritually, this number arrives as a gentle invitation to remember the parts of yourself that have been silenced by pressure and performance. The astrological alignment of the moon in trine with Neptune brings a sacred softness to this moment. It stirs your dreaming mind, your intuitive body, and the childlike wonder that still lives in you, even if life has taught you to bury it under layers of logic or urgency. You may have noticed subtle nudges lately, fleeting visions, nostalgic memories, ideas that feel both innocent and revolutionary. These aren't distractions. They are seeds. Number 3 is the number of divine expression of creation, not for performance, but for healing. When you allow yourself to create without expectation, you open a channel for your inner wisdom to flow into form. That may look like writing without editing, painting without purpose, singing without an audience. And in doing so, you reconnect with your essence, because healing often begins where perfection ends. Financially, this energy reminds you that your prosperity doesn't just come from hustle. It comes from alignment. From offering what is naturally alive in you to the world around you. You may feel called to revisit an old passion or a skill you once dismissed. What you once considered a hobby may now be the very vessel that opens up new streams of income. When something is done in flow and joy, it becomes magnetic. People feel it. Resources follow it. This is the power of number 3, to turn what feels light into something real and abundant. In your body, you may be feeling the tension of over-efforting. Your mind might be wired to seek solutions, but your nervous system is craving stillness, play, and recovery. This is the time to allow your system to recalibrate. Take a step back. Light a candle. Let yourself nap. Let your thoughts wander without forcing conclusions. This is not laziness. This is restoration. The body heals best in states of softness, and number 3 whispers that softness is not a weakness, it is your portal to clarity. And through all of this, a deeper thread is moving your connection with the divine. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus said, "Let the little children come to me, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these." This number, and this energy, ask you to enter into your week with the same trust and openness as a child, to release the need to control every outcome, and instead, to receive. Not to prove anything, but simply because you are already worthy. You may not realize it yet, but your ability to express even imperfectly is the bridge between what you long for and what is already being shaped on your behalf. This is the frequency of faith. It is not passive. It is alive, playful, open, receptive. So Scorpio, if you felt the pull to return to something simple, something soft, something that makes you feel like yourself again, trust that. The number 3 is your signal to engage not with strategy, but with sincerity. This week, allow yourself 15 minutes a day to create without agenda. To write, to dance, to build something with your hands. This is not about doing it right. It's about showing up for your soul. And if this message has stirred something in you, comment below. What dream have you been quietly hiding? What small act of creation will you return to today? Let your comment be your confirmation. Let your action be your agreement. You don't have to wait for permission to become whole. It starts now with one honest breath and a willingness to begin again. Scorpio, when the number 11 enters your energetic field, it does not knock. It arrives like a quiet opening in your dia, a subtle shift in perception, a sudden awareness of something beyond the ordinary. This is not coincidence. This is alignment. Number 11, known in numerology as a master number, is not here to inspire wishful thinking, it's here to usher in transformation. It is the gateway between what you've been and what you are becoming, and when this number begins to echo around you, it often means that life is no longer content with staying surface level. It wants to deepen. And so do you. The influence of Mercury connecting with Uranus during this window is no less than an astrological lightning bolt. But not the kind that destroys, rather, the kind that awakens. Your ideas may come fast and strange. Insights may feel foreign yet familiar. This is how breakthroughs arrive, not through force, but through surrender to moments that can't be rationalized. In this cosmic alignment, communication meets innovation, and you are being asked not just to listen to others, but to hear the message behind the message, especially the ones rising from within. Financially, this number whispers a truth most overlook. Not all abundance is logical. Some of it arrives through what appears to be a small, even irrational, decision. Maybe it's a new direction you've been hesitant to take, or a path you've quietly dismissed because it didn't make sense on paper. But number 11 speaks in the language of energetic expansion. It says, if your heart knows, trust it even if your mind can't yet explain it. What may look insignificant now has the potential to multiply tenfold, not just in profit, but in purpose. In your body, 11 brings a reckoning. If you've been feeling restless, struggling to sleep, or waking with a tightness in your chest, you're not broken. Your system is responding to the inner shift that this number carries. Anxiety, when seen clearly, is often the result of resisting a truth your soul already knows. Number 11 is a call to integrate your energetic self with your physical oneto shift, not only your mindset but your lifestyle. That might look like saying no where you've always said yes. It might be leaving the room earlier, unplugging a bit longer, nourishing your body in a way that feels sacred, not scheduled. And while we won't name this moment as religious, there is a universal thread that weaves through every tradition of light. Faith is not belief without question, it is trust without needing proof. You don't need everything to make sense in order to move forward. You need only a spark. Just enough to illuminate your next honest step. When number 11 speaks to you, it rarely screams. It brushes against your thoughts like wind through open windows. It nudges your focus towards small things, a word, a symbol, a flicker of knowing. These are not distractions. They are the instructions. And the more you ignore them, the more your system may push back through fatigue, through tension, through a sense of disconnection. But when you choose to notice, when you take those flickers seriously, you begin to come back into union with your own deeper rhythm. So if a thought or idea has kept returning to you lately, maybe at odd times, maybe through repeating symbols, don't brush it aside. Write it down. Name it. Speak it. Even if you don't know what to do with it yet. The act of witnessing your own knowing is powerful. It is how you say yes to the life that's trying to meet you. And if this message already feels like it's speaking directly to something you haven't yet voiced, consider that your confirmation. Comment below with what you've been quietly sensing. Let it be your first step toward anchoring what you've always known deep down. You're not here to stay in the same place. You're here to evolve. And now, the door is opening. Scorpio, as we move deeper into this unfolding sequence of energy, the arrival of number 14 marks a powerful shift, one that gently untangles the knots of control and invites you into the expansive frequency of freedom. Unlike the dense, heavy vibrations of survival or overthinking, this number brings a breeze. It doesn't force its way in. It lingers. It asks, what if the path to abundance was not through pressure, but through permission? What if financial flow, emotional liberation, and spiritual clarity could only meet you when you finally stop gripping so tightly? Astrologically, Venus aligning with Uranus is one of the most liberating energies we can experience. Venus speaks to what we value, what we love, what we receive. Uranus, the awakener, stirs sudden insights, unexpected changes, and intuitive action. Together, they don't just knock on the door of your routine, they blow it open. This is why during this passage, something that once felt stuck may suddenly shift. A forgotten debt repaid, an unexpected windfall, a new opportunity that seems to come out of nowhere. That is not chaos. That is realignment. But this isn't just about money. It's about what money represents: permission, security, worthiness. It's about understanding that what flows toward you is not determined by your effort alone, it's determined by your openness to receive. And for many Scorpio souls, that receiving has been delayed not because you weren't worthy, but because you were conditioned to earn everything the hard way. You learned to survive through control, through tightening, through discipline. But number 14 arrives like an exhale after a long-held breath, whispering, maybe you don't have to fight anymore. On a physical level, this energy calls for gentleness. Not laziness. Not avoidance. True gentleness, the kind that listens to your nervous system, that takes off the armor, that says no without apology and yes without guilt. If you've been feeling the pressure to have all the answers, to keep it all together, to hold the world on your shoulders, this is your moment to set it down. Not because you're giving up, but because you're waking up. In the realm of health, this means surrendering the illusion of control. Letting go of rigid routines that drain you. Opening to support. Releasing the need to manage every detail of your healing. Trusting that the body knows how to find its way back to balance when you stop interrupting its wisdom with stress. Healing happens in softness. Recovery begins where control ends. And when we turn to the law of attraction, this principle echoes even louder. You can't manifest from fear. You can't pull in miracles while bracing for disappointment. The frequency of desire is only magnetic when it's paired with surrender. Wanting something and needing it in order to feel safe are not the same thing. Wanting and trusting, now that's when the field responds. The vibration of, I trust one am held, is what calls in the unexpected blessing. So Scorpio, in this sacred window, do something simple and slow. Walk outside without a destination. Let your senses lead. Feel the breeze. Watch the light change. Play soft music that reminds your cells how it feels to feel free. Let this be your signal to the universe: I am open now. Not because I've figured it all out, but because I've stopped needing to. If this message resonates, take a moment to breathe it in. Comment below, what's one thing you're ready to release control over? Let this be your declaration. Your quiet yes to the freedom already circling back to you. There's nothing to force now. Number 14 is already working on your behalf quietly, precisely, and with the kind of love that doesn't need to prove anything. Just let it in. Scorpio, there are moments in your journey where life doesn't ask you to run forward, it simply asks you to return. And that return is not to a place, but to a version of yourself you once abandoned to survive. That is the sacred invitation of number 20. It is not just a number. It is a frequency of resurrection, of rising from the very ashes of your own transformation. And it arrives now, not to disrupt your path, but to align you with the one you've always known deep down was yours. Energetically, number 20 carries the vibration of awakening after dormancy. It brings a softness that doesn't demand immediate action, but gently shakes the dust off forgotten dreams and stirs the courage to try again with new eyes, with deeper roots, and with more grace than before. In the tarot, this is the frequency of the Judgment card, not in a punitive sense, but in the soulful recognition that you are being called back to your truth. This is the moment where the universe leans in and whispers, "You are not too late. Nothing is wasted. Your name is still on the list." Perhaps recently you felt a strange pull to revisit something you had once released. A calling. A career path. A conversation. Or maybe it's been an internal pull, a desire to feel alive again in a way you haven't felt for years. That is the energy of resurrection moving through your field. And with it comes clarity. Not the kind that rushes in loudly, but the kind that rises from within like a morning stretch after a long sleep. You may find yourself realizing that the exhaustion you've carried was not always physical. It was spiritual fatigue. And now, with number 20, you are being gently invited to breathe again, not just for survival, but to thrive. Financially, this energy may bring back an opportunity that once passed you by. But this time, you meet it not with hesitation or fear but with wisdom. Because now you are different. Now you have lived. And now you are capable of receiving in a way that honors your boundaries, your values, and your evolution. This isn't about repeating the past. It's about meeting the future from a healed place. In your body, you may notice energy returning. A slow but steady wave of vitality building from within. The fog begins to lift. The heaviness loosens its grip. And though nothing external may have changed, you begin to feel the internal thaw. This is your nervous system catching up with your spirit. This is what it feels like when the body believes that it's finally safe to soften again. This part of the journey reminds us that new beginnings are often disguised as returns. And returning doesn't mean going backward, it means moving forward with your whole self. The parts that were once fractured are now ready to reintegrate. This is healing not as a process, but as a reunion. A homecoming. And your role now is to respond with love. So take a moment. Write a letter to the version of you from a year ago. Speak to them as someone who has survived for you, who made choices you might not understand, but who did the best they could with what they had. Forgive that version of you. Thank them. And let them know that you're ready to carry the dream they once couldn't hold. This practice is not symbolic. It is somatic. It tells your spirit, I am ready to begin again. And if you felt even the slightest awakening stir in your chest as you listened to these words, consider that your sign. Comment below, what are you ready to return to? What truth are you finally prepared to say yes to? Let your answer mark your resurrection. Because this chapter is not a repeat. It's the rising of a soul that has remembered itself. And it begins right here, in this moment, with one decision to come home. Scorpio, now that you've walked through awakening, release, and resurrection, the energies of numbers 29 and 44 arrive not as concepts, but as anchors. They are here to steady you into movement, not frantic, not rushed, but purposeful and present. These numbers carry the vibration of sacred action. Not action rooted in fear or urgency, but action that grows from clarity. The kind of movement that whispers, this is the right time, and you are finally ready. The energy of 29 is uniquely grounded and transformational. In astrology, It reflects the gravitational tension between Saturn and Pluto, a dynamic that asks you to restructure what no longer supports your foundation, while simultaneously empowering you to build what truly aligns with your future. When these two forces meet, they strip away illusions and leave only what is real. This is why 29 doesn't arrive with dramatic fire. It arrives with a question: are you willing to commit to the small things that quietly build the big? Because this is how long-lasting change works. It grows through repetition, devotion, and quiet consistency. Financially, 29 reminds us that transformation often begins with one decision. A single idea, if given focused energy and care for just 29 days, can open doors you didn't even know existed. But not because you forced a result, because you finally gave yourself permission to act with trust. This number is the invitation to walk, not sprint, toward what you desire. To pick up the habits that once seemed too small to matter, and realize that they are the very scaffolding of the life you're trying to build. Physically, your body may be craving recalibration. You might feel the need to revise your schedule, simplify your meals, or adjust your sleeping rhythm. This isn't about optimizing every hour. It's about responding to the signals that your system has been quietly sending. When you respect those whispers, your vitality begins to return, not as a flood, but as a steady pulse of energy that carries you. And then there is 44, the angelic presence. This number doesn't arrive with the logic of Saturn or the depth of Pluto. It arrives with grace. In numerology, 44 is known as the master builder and the signal of divine orchestration. If you've been doubting whether your prayers or intentions are being heard, this number appears to say yes, something is already in motion. A shift is happening on your behalf, even if you can't see it yet. The investment you thought was a mistake, the decision you feared was too late, the effort that once seemed invisible, all of it is being recalibrated behind the scenes. Energetically, 44 calls you into softness. It speaks through light, sound, and space. It nudges you to step into morning sunlight, to let gentle music hold your nervous system, to create a room not just for rest, but for renewal. It tells you that you don't have to earn protection. You already have it. That's what makes this number so powerful. It reminds you that divine support is not earned through striving. It's received through willingness. Scorpio, if you've been holding back because the path wasn't clear, this pairing of 29 and 44 is your compass. One helps you build, the other helps you believe. One calls you to commit, the other reminds you you're not doing it alone. And when they come together, they offer more than change, they offer transformation grounded in faith. So I invite you now, write down one commitment, just one that you'll carry with intention for the next 29 days. Not because you're trying to prove anything, but because you are aligning your energy with trust. And if 44 has been following you, let it be your reminder that miracles don't always enter with noise. Sometimes they arrive on the wind of your quietest yes. Let this be yours. Scorpio, if you've made it to this moment, then something within you has already begun to shift. Maybe it was a quiet resonance you couldn't explain, a gentle pulse of recognition in your chest, or a sudden feeling of clarity that washed over you during one of the messages you heard today. Whatever it was, don't ignore it. Because the changes you're seeking on the outside almost always begin with a whisper on the inside, and this, right here, could be that whisper. This wasn't just a collection of predictions. It was a conversation between your soul and the divine intelligence of the universe. Each number, each insight, each color you heard about today wasn't random. It was precise. It was personal. And now, the question becomes, what will you do with what moved you? You see, transformation rarely comes in a flash. It builds through the smallest acts of awareness, the quietest commitments, the most consistent choices. So I invite you now, what is one truth you've been avoiding? One area where you've been waiting for permission to begin again? What if you stopped waiting? What if you trusted that the moment you're in is sacred enough, and that you are ready now, not later, not when you're more confident, not when it's more convenient? There is incredible power in simply choosing to begin, especially when that beginning is paired with faith. Faith in yourself. Faith in what is unseen but deeply felt. Faith that you don't need to control every outcome to trust the process. And yes, even faith that your quiet yes is enough to open a floodgate of support, opportunity, and healing. So Scorpio, as you close this sacred circle of insight, I gently ask, which number stood out most to you today? Which part of this journey echoed something you've known all along but hadn't yet given voice to? Comment it below, not because the algorithm needs it, but because your soul does. Because speaking what you've received out loud is how you anchor it into reality. And if you feel called to, share this video with someone else who may be waiting for a sign in the dark. You might just be the answer they've been praying for. And if there's one sentence you walk away with today, let it be this: I agree with the miracle coming from the light. Write it. Speak it. Return to it. Let it be the energy that shapes your decisions in the coming days. Because the miracle isn't waiting somewhere far away, it's already making its way toward you. All it needs is your willingness to receive. Thank you, truly, for being here. Your presence is a blessing. Every like, every comment, every moment you spend with Miracle of the Sign helps this space grow, and allows these messages to reach others who need them just as much. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for walking this path with me. And Scorpio, trust this, we will meet again right on time. Right when your spirit needs it most. Until then, may your steps be gentle, your mind be steady, and your heart remain open to everything beautiful that is trying to find you.